We are kicking off with WWE, and since vowing to make an opportunity for himself, Bronson Reed has been flattening opponents with tsunami after tsunami, and this week took on fellow monster Braun Strowman. Before the match started, Michael Cole and Corey Graves were quick to point out that the ring had been reinforced for the bout between the two behemoths, but this would prove to be a moot endeavor. The action quickly left the ring as they bulldozed through security and backstage personnel in their path, and the chaos moved to the ever-dangerous parking lot area. Reed was slammed onto the hood of a car by Strowman, but he narrowly escaped before Strowman could crush him with a piece of the set that was hurled his way. The pair climbed atop production crates, where Reed managed to knock Strowman down onto the roof of a car, but he wasn't finished yet. Reed then scaled the concrete parking lot barrier wall and delivered a devastating splash onto Braun, causing significant damage to the car's roof in the process, but much more to Braun. It was only then that security and officials intervened, and while the match didn't have an official winner, this was another star-making performance for Reed, who's as hot as any other heel. Reed will ultimately end up winning fans over if he can continue with the momentum he's had since his initial attack on Seth Rollins, who hasn't been seen since his run-in with the Behemoth. This week's showcase was made even more impressive by the beating occurring at the expense of Strowman, a former Universal Champion who has been perpetually over with fans. With that said, there was a small mistake during the car roof splash. WWE cameras caught Strowman peeking up to see what was about to happen when he should have been selling the damage he'd already taken. In theory, Strowman should have rolled to safety as he saw what Reed was about to do, but this slight error pales in comparison to all the good this segment has done for the Australian. Strowman certainly helped elevate Reed in a big way, and it remains to be seen what kind of gimmick match the two Titans have after this intense showdown on Raw. But what did you make of this segment? And what do you think is next for both men? Sound off down in the comments. Close to 2 years after being introduced, Uncle Howdy made his in-ring debut this week as he took on Chad Gable in the show's main event. With entrances being 20 minutes before the show ended, Howdy and Gable were given plenty of time to deliver a great match, and Howdy was accompanied by the Wyatt Six. Their fight eventually spilled outside of the ring, and the "You Suck" chants aimed at Gable rattled the Olympian, but it didn't prevent him from hitting an Olympic slam onto the table. Howdy barely beat the ref's 10 count, and Gable seemingly had the match won as he removed his straps, but in a nod to Bray Wyatt, Howdy performed the iconic upside-down look. When Howdy delivered the mandible claw, a nod to Wyatt's alter ego The Fiend, the Creeds and Ivy Nile emerged to drag Howdy to ringside for a beatdown, but were confronted by the Wyatt Six. Back in the ring, Howdy dodged a moonsault from Chad and nailed his sister Abigail for the win, and this match was the first for Bo Dallas in close to 5 years. With that in mind, it's hardly a surprise that Howdy was emotional after Raw went off the air, as there will have been a long time when he believed his days wrestling were over. Howdy was likely also emotional as he remembered his late brother, and as he made his way to the back after Raw, pointed to the heavens in a clear tribute to Bray Wyatt. As for the match, it had a bit of everything, but the real message was told through the emotion that the man under the mask was able to convey, as he has done with every performance. The odes to Bray Wyatt, as well as Brody Lee, were evident throughout Monday's match, and his performances, more so than anyone else, are for those who came before him. All of this makes what Bo has accomplished with this Wyatt Six story that much more rewarding, and he continues to have fans captivated with every performance. On Twitter, the Wyatt Six had been building towards the match with Chad Gable, including sharing an image from Dante's Inferno, and fans will remember Bray often referenced Dante. On Raw, we got another VHS tape played, this one featuring Bo Dallas, but you'd see Uncle Howdy glitch through in a chilling visual. Addressing his match with Gable, Bo spoke of cutting the head off the snake, and if this line sounds familiar, it's because we heard it recently from a non-Wyatt Six wrestler. A few weeks ago, Dakota Kai used that exact same line, and while she did, the Pluto symbol associated with the faction appeared behind her. Bo also made reference to a beast rising from the sea, and during the final episode of the Firefly Funhouse, this idea of a beast coming was also brought up, sparking speculation with fans. We don't know what this beast will be, though Alexa Bliss teased a return to the ring recently, but for now, it appears that something big is coming from the Wyatt Six. The rivalry of CM Punk and Drew McIntyre took center stage once again on Raw, as McIntyre addressed his upcoming strap match showdown with Punk at Bash in Berlin. McIntyre mockingly imitated Punk's iconic entrance and signature seated position in the ring and leveled a series of personal attacks on the former AEW World Champion. Drew predicted that Punk's choice of a strap match would backfire on the best in the world and made remarks about Punk's family and his cherished bracelet. Unbeknownst to McIntyre, CM Punk was watching the entire segment live from underneath the ring on Instagram, and enraged, Punk stormed the ring while still broadcasting. Punk delivered a series of attacks with a strap that proved so fierce, not even security personnel trying to intervene were spared, as CM Punk beat them with the strap as well. Raw GM Adam Pearce took to Twitter to announce that he has fined CM Punk for his actions for an undisclosed amount as tensions continue to grow ahead of Berlin. While McIntyre managed to escape the beatdown this time, he won't be able to run in the strap match, which promises to be anything but forgiving, as both men are ready to dish out pain. What are your thoughts on CM Punk being live before coming to attack Drew McIntyre with a strap on Monday Night Raw? Sound off in the comments. We've got some tragic news to share now, as the wrestling world is mourning the loss of the legendary Sid Eudy, better known as Psycho Sid or Sid Vicious. On Facebook, Sid's son Gunnar shared that his father had passed away at the age of 63 after a lengthy battle with cancer, and shared the following touching tribute. Dear friends and family, I am deeply saddened to share that my father, Sid Eudy, has passed away after battling cancer for several years. He was a man of strength, kindness, and love, and his presence will be greatly missed. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers as we grieve this loss. Details for a memorial service will be shared soon. Thank you for your support. Sid carved an unforgettable legacy for himself in the world of wrestling, with a career that spanned 3 decades and saw him dominate in WWE, WCW, ECW, and elsewhere. Known for his imposing 6'9" stature, explosive power, and menacing persona, Sid held multiple world championships, including world title gold in WWE and WCW. Sid enjoyed many memorable moments in his career and competed in intense feuds with some of wrestling's biggest names, such as Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart. It's always sad to lose a member of our wrestling community, especially someone who, at 63, was relatively young, and his larger-than-life presence in and out of the ring will be missed. Sid's legacy as one of wrestling's most fearsome competitors will endure for generations to come, as he truly proved to be the master and ruler of the world. What are your favorite Sid moments? Is there a particular match that stands out to you? Share them below as we remember the legendary big man of the ring. Raw in Providence opened with Rey Mysterio interrupting the Judgment Day to get something off his chest, and it was something he may not have been able to say if everyone knew what he was saying. During his segment, Rey said something in Spanish, and Forbes' Alfred Canua tweeted out the following as he was able to translate what the Hall of Famer had to say. Rey Mysterio just shamed his son for dating a white woman, Guerra, on the white man's cable TV, and he got away with it because most of y'all don't speak Spanish. Dr. Umar would be proud. Rey Mysterio obviously isn't a fan of Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan's relationship, and made that very clear this week, especially to the Spanish-speaking members of the WWE Universe. Rey arrived to the ring with the rest of the LWO, and this marked Rey's first appearance on Raw since the July 8th episode, where he was in a mixed tag team match against his son. WWE has a lot of things changing internally right now, but with Raw set to move to the uncensored Netflix in January, more off-the-wall, controversial lines may be in the future. This segment culminated with a 6-man tag team match, which saw the Judgment Day defeat Mysterio and the LWO, but the action didn't stop there. A post-match beatdown by the Judgment Day was interrupted by Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, and the latter was able to give a tribute to a wrestling legend amid the chaos. Priest could be heard shouting, "We are the masters and rulers of this world" to Finn Balor, Liv Morgan, and Dominic Mysterio, who watched on as Priest and Ripley destroyed JD McDonough and Carlito. This phrase was a nod to Psycho Sid, whose death was confirmed shortly before the show, and now attention turns to the mixed tag team match between the Terror Twins and Morgan and Mysterio that'll take place in Berlin. It's safe to say that Jey USO is one of WWE's most popular superstars right now, but there's plenty who feel the company could be doing so much more with Main Event Jey. On his Off the Top podcast, Rikishi discussed his son's booking in WWE and questioned why, despite Jey's popularity, he wasn't given a chance to win the Money in the Bank contract. Rikishi pointed out that Jey is one of the most exciting wrestlers, always delivering in the ring, and it doesn't make sense why WWE wouldn't give him an opportunity. The Hall of Famer added that after Money in the Bank, he hoped WWE would at least set Jey up for a title shot, maybe for the Intercontinental Gold or even a World Championship. When that didn't happen, Rikishi said he feels the writers don't know how to use Jey, and even considered telling his son to take a break from WWE if they don't know what to do with him. Rikishi also mentioned that while WWE is making money off Jey's Yeet merchandise, Jey is out there working hard for his success through making appearances and engaging with fans. Recognizing potential claims of bias, Rikishi stressed that his concerns could apply to any wrestler, not just his son, and hopes WWE will give Jey the opportunities he deserves. Rikishi also believed that Jey could succeed elsewhere like in AEW if WWE doesn't appreciate him, and he's not alone in wanting more for the former tag team champion. Fans have been vocal in their support for WWE to elevate Jey to the top of the card, and as a major fan favorite on Raw, there's anticipation that a singles title run will come eventually. After years establishing himself as one half of one of WWE's most successful tag teams, Jey has a huge future ahead of him, though WWE writers seem hesitant to use him right now. Many are eagerly awaiting to see if WWE will capitalize on his popularity and potential in the near future, or if Jey USO might consider a move to AEW down the line. The journey to find Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker's next challenger began on this week's Raw with 2 triple threat tournament matches. In the first, Jey USO made his entrance first and even had Corey Graves yeeting as the broadcaster filled in for Pat McAfee, who was away due to football obligations. Jey was joined by Kofi Kingston and Karrion Kross, and the match provided each competitor the chance to show off a bit, as even Kross got the upper hand throughout the bout. His attempt to make Kofi Kingston submit was countered into a pinning attempt that was unsuccessful, and Jey landed a spear on Kross before ascending to the top rope. Jey got the win and will now go on to join a fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental Championship, and one would have to consider Jey a favorite given his immense popularity. This was a fun, action-packed 3-way match that kept the ongoing storyline involving the New Day and Kross at the forefront while reintroducing USO into the title mix. With that said, there have been questionable creative decisions over the last handful of months or so when it comes to Jey, so we can't rule out him being knocked out of the competition. Regardless, Jey USO remains over and is as good a choice to roll with as the first contender to Breaker's title, but he will have some stiff competition. Later in the show, Pete Dunne took on Xavier Woods and former Intercontinental Champion The Miz, who has aspirations of being a record-tying 9-time Intercontinental Champion. Those plans began to unravel as Woods nailed him with a limit break elbow, and though the New Day star went for the cover, Pete Dunne dragged the official out of the ring. Dunne disposed of Woods and sealed the deal with the bitter end on The Miz in a match which saw much better chemistry than our first IC title qualifying triple threat of the evening. The reversals and counters were more fluid, and the finish was clever, with Dunne taking advantage of the rules to advance in his pursuit of main roster gold. Once again, Xavier Woods fell short of proving he could succeed on his own, something that will likely prove significant in whatever direction the New Day's rumored breakup story goes next. Post-match, Braun Breaker had a backstage interview to respond to USO and Dunne, and called himself "that dude, that dog," before adding that the worst is yet to come for his opponents. USO and Dunne will be joined by 2 more yet-to-be-determined individuals in the tournament finals, which will be held on the September 9th, 2024 episode of Raw. The next matches will be contested between Ilya Dragunov, Dragon Lee, and Dominic Mysterio in one triple threat, and Bronson Reed, Ludwig Kaiser, and Sheamus in the other. The winners of those matches will join the Fatal 4-Way, in which the winner will face Breaker, and who do you see stepping up as the next challenger for the Intercontinental title? At All In London, Bryan Danielson captured the AEW World Championship from Swerve Strickland, and after a huge week, fans are wondering what's next for the American Dragon. Some believe that Strickland should invoke his rematch clause given that he and Bryan delivered an instant classic at Wembley, but that doesn't seem to be the case. PW Insider reports that the main event for this year's Grand Slam week will feature Bryan Danielson facing Darby Allin for the AEW World title, and that will headline Dynamite. That show will air from Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York on September 25th, and we'll have to see if Allin makes Danielson's reign a short one next month. Danielson has reached the pinnacle of AEW, though there are some hoping to see him return to WWE one day, but that doesn't appear to be in the cards. On Fightful's Backstage Report podcast, Sean Ross Sapp said that Danielson has no interest in going back to WWE, even for something as prestigious as a Hall of Fame induction. Currently, WWE has not approached Danielson with an offer, despite him not being under any contract with AEW and also being the reigning AEW World Champion. Do you believe Bryan Danielson will easily retain his AEW World Championship against Darby Allin at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam this year? Let us know in the comments section below. Damage Control defeated the Pure Fusion Collective on this week's Raw in the latest example of something of a renewed emphasis on the women's tag team division. Hopefully this continues, as that division has been underutilized for a long time, and Io Sky and Kairi Sane's win over Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark is hopefully a sign of better things. Ahead of his World Championship match against Gunther at Bash in Berlin, Randy Orton took to the ring to express the importance of the contest at Germany's first PLE. Orton recalled the demons of his past and the significance of being world champion, pointing out that 20 years ago, he became the youngest world heavyweight champion. Orton brought up unifying that title with the WWE Championship at TLC 2013 and plans on moving into second place for all-time title reigns by becoming a 15-time champ in Berlin. This is the best version of Orton we have ever seen, and it is his ability to step back and appreciate his career for being what it is, one of the best of all time, that makes him great. The fans are connecting because they can feel what Orton is saying is real, flaws and all, and he has plenty of experiences from his past that he can use to tell stories. Orton did exactly that here, enhancing his promo and the gravity of his title match with Gunther this Saturday, though fans ready to see Orton with gold again may be disappointed. Despite this promo, signs continue to point to Gunther retaining, as it'd be foolish for one of WWE's most dominant champions in recent years to lose the gold so quickly. Throw in the fact that this match is in Germany, a country Gunther has ties to, and fans can expect the King of the Ring to retain the World Heavyweight title this Saturday. At last week's Dynamite in Cardiff, Wales, Big Bill was in action, and the UK crowd gave Bill a reaction that nobody, not even Bill himself, would have expected. Despite being the heel muscle for Chris Jericho's learning tree, the UK fans showered Bill with support, even chanting "We still love you" after he threw out an insulting hand gesture. Fightful Select reports that the insane reactions from the crowd caught many backstage at AEW off guard, and it was noted how he received loud cheers for his Collision match with Hook. The 7-footer was also widely cheered during Chris Jericho's FTW title match with Hook at Wembley Stadium, despite coming to the aid of the learning tree. But what do you make of this? Should AEW seek to capitalize on Bill's UK popularity, or stay the course as most AEW events happen in the US? Let us know your thoughts below. AEW All In London also saw the All Elite arrival of Ricochet, who competed in the Casino Gauntlet after weeks of reports that he was joining the company. On Twitter, WWE announcer Samantha Irvin reacted to her fiancé's debut, simply calling him a king, though some haven't been so positive. There are some who have claimed that Ricochet will quickly grow irrelevant as part of AEW's huge roster, with one Twitter user saying the one and only has 2 months to go. In response, Ricochet quipped that this fan has 34 followers on Twitter, but wanted to talk about irrelevancy, and for context, Ricochet is closing in on 500,000 Twitter followers. Ricochet already has a match lined up for Dynamite against Kyle Fletcher, and do you think he'll thrive in AEW, or indeed become irrelevant? Give your predictions in the comments. Now, WWE has a massively loyal, passionate fan base, and when it comes to showing your love for a particular superstar, there's few things better than a handmade sign. Unfortunately, a common practice we've seen in recent years is WWE confiscating signs if they deem them inappropriate or for any other reason. Confiscating a sign may protect a top star from unnecessary heat, or it may be because the sign shows something the network opposes, and the August 16th SmackDown saw confiscations. On social media, fans who attended the show in Orlando's Kia Center shared their outrage that their fan-friendly signs were taken away with no reason given. One sign confiscated celebrated the recent return of Roman Reigns with a message reading "Welcome back, Daddy Reigns," and a series of photos of the man himself. On Twitter, photos were shared of piles of signs that had been confiscated before the fans were let in, and one user said that it was a policy of the venue to not allow signs in the building. If so, it's an interesting decision to make, especially as signs were seen during this show, with theories that these signs were smuggled in or handed out by WWE to fans in attendance. What are your thoughts on all fan signs being confiscated before SmackDown in Orlando, Florida? Sound off in the comments. More from All In London as Jack Perry retained his AEW TNT title in a match against Darby Allin, but at 10 minutes 40, this was the second shortest match on the show's main card. On Wrestling Observer Radio, it was revealed that time was shaved off the match as the show was running long and had a strict curfew of needing to be finished at 10 p.m. local time. Despite losing time, Allin and Perry delivered an exciting coffin match that also saw an appearance by Sting. But when all was said and done, it was Perry who left London with gold. And we're ending with Miro, who last wrestled for AEW at the World's End pay-per-view in December, and that match came after another lengthy hiatus for the former TNT champion. Miro has spent the majority of his AEW career on the sidelines, and while we don't know when he'll return, we can at least confirm his current location. PW Insider reports that Miro was spotted in Los Angeles over the weekend, meaning he's back in the United States after previously spending time in Bulgaria after World's End. 2024 can't have been an easy year for Miro, who in addition to being in professional limbo, split with his wife CJ Perry, news that was confirmed in March of this year. With no return in sight, it remains to be seen what happens for Miro, but he's at least back in the United States, where AEW will be hosting shows for the foreseeable future.